You click to see how a cartel bribe backfired. You're in the right place. A DEA informant from inside LaBarbie's circle walked in with a $2 million blueprint. Names, meetings, and the promise of friendlier cops and judges if a presidential campaign won. U.S. agents believed him enough to launch a sensitive operation with recorders, approvals, and 6-month reviews. What did the tapes capture? What fell apart under prosecutors' scrutiny? And why did Washington pull the plug just as doors were opening in Mexico City? Stay through the first act. We lay out the players, the plan, and the moment it stalled. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Agents stopped trading rumors the day a former logistics hand from LaBarbie's crew walked into a debriefing room with a map, not a story. Lopez Nájera didn't drift through gossip. He laid out where, who. He said the money moved in 2006 with a single aim: shape a future administration before it took office. That claim alone pushed investigators from coffee chats to formal 6-month reviews and taped meetings. If his chain held, they could test it. If it broke, they would know fast. He laid the cast on the table. LaBarbie as the source of cash. Pancho Leon as the conduit who could keep hands clean. Nicolas Nico Molinedo Baster as the gatekeeper with proximity to the campaign's inner circle. The route sounded simple on paper and hard in practice. Roughly $2 million split into staged drops, moved through trusted intermediaries, tied to expectations about who would get key law enforcement posts and how cases would be prioritized. No promises on a line, no written IOUs. The value sat in appointments, not envelopes flashed on camera. The stakes were obvious. If the pipeline existed, it meant decisions about federal police leadership and prosecutorial priorities could be influenced before ballots were even counted. That would ripple into extradition lists, wiretap approvals, and which investigations stalled at the docket. If it didn't, chasing it risked a blowback storm. Prosecutors hate ghosts. Politicians hate headlines that paint them as targets of foreign stings. Agents needed more than a confident informant. They needed seams they could tug in daylight. They found those seams in timing and access. In 2006, the Beltran Leyva faction held money, muscle, and motive. Lopez Nájera had verifiable duties in logistics, the kind that would put him near money handlers and drivers who touched the cash. His description of meeting cadence, cash denominations, and how couriers synced with calendars matched what agents already knew about how that network moved funds for weapons and payroll. He named venues and travel windows that lined up with other reporting. The details didn't scream, they fit. Operationally, the plan fit a wider pattern. Bribes that tilt who runs an attorney general's office or a national police unit deliver a return that street-level protection payments never do. A single appointment can influence hundreds of cases without a single midnight pickup. That is why agents favored the approach. If they could nudge the same actors into new conversations, they might capture the architecture of influence, even if the original handoff stayed in the past. They didn't need a time machine, just a replay with microphones. The threshold was met. Headquarters advanced Operation Cleanup and green-lit an undercover spin-off designed to recreate the steps, pressure test the claims, and roll tape on the fixers. With approvals in hand, the informant's pages converted into a travel plan, cover stories, and contact trees. Now it was about execution. The leads moved from notebooks into living rooms and hotel bars, and the clocks on those 6-month reviews started ticking while the microphones waited for something unmistakable. Could agents replay a 2006 funding channel in 2012 and catch the fixers speaking freely? That was the bet behind Operation Polanco. The plan was simple on paper: stage new meetings that mirrored the old arrangement, control the rooms, and record everything. Undercover teams built cover stories and travel calendars, then slotted in contact points designed to pull the same people into reach. Every move had to preserve admissibility, so handlers scripted lines, rehearsed asks, and set thresholds for what would count as progress before the next step. First contact landed in Nuevo Vallarta with Pancho Leon. The introduction came through a trusted go-between, presented as business tied to political access. Agents set the pace. Small talk first, then tested phrases about past support and future comfort. The goal was to draw Pancho into acknowledging a lane without steering him there. From there, the trail shifted to Mexico City and approaches with Nico. Each step raised the risk. Hotel lobbies with too many eyes, cars that might be tailed, and phones that might light up the wrong desk if a name dropped at the wrong time. The choreography mattered. Meetings opened with neutral topics, then moved to staged negotiation points, timelines for help, the kind of cases that should slow down, who might be friendly in a key office, calibrated asks pushed for clarity without entrapment. Agents referenced past support and watched for corrections or expansions. They pressed for mechanics. Who carries messages? How updates move when a favor gets confirmed? The script aimed for the target to fill blanks on his own, on tape, in his words. The tapes showed hints. Snippets suggested Nico understood that money had moved in 2006. He alluded to contacts near the Attorney General's office and said doors could open for the right people. But no clean admissions surfaced. Dates blurred. Roles were implied rather than stated. Phrases like friends, support, and alignment carried meaning in the room, but not the kind of meaning that survives a courtroom motion to dismiss. Technical hurdles undercut the best clips. Air conditioners hummed, glasses clinked, and traffic drowned key lines. A name clipped at the end of a sentence. A month got mumbled. A nod off mic stood in for a yes. Prosecutors flagged gaps. No precise timestamps tied to the alleged past transfers. No direct quid pro quo spelled out. And no independent corroboration that locked the words to the 2006 events rather than vague political boasting. Meanwhile, the clock ran hot. The longer the operation stayed live, the greater the odds of leaks, a press flare-up, and a diplomatic complaint that could freeze other joint cases. Agents could see proximity to power and the outline of protection networks. What they lacked was a crisp confession linking Cash to a concrete appointment or a stalled prosecution. With tapes short of a smoking gun, a high-level review narrowed the options and pushed the team toward a decision point they had hoped to avoid. Why did Washington close an operation that seemed inches from exposing a political pipeline? The answer sits inside SARC, the Sensitive Activity Review Committee. It gives provisional approvals and forces 6-month checkpoints where case agents lay out tapes, timelines, and risks. In the run-up to Thanksgiving 2011, the review table grew crowded. Justice Department lawyers on one side, DEA leadership from Mexico City and New York on the other. They weighed audio that hinted at access against the fallout if those hints pointed at a circle near national power. Prosecutors pressed first. They saw ambiguous phrasing, loud rooms, and dates that wobbled under playback. They asked for timestamps that matched alleged transfers and language that drew a straight line from cash to action. At the same time, State and DOJ carried a different weight. Fast and Furious cast a long shadow. The ATF's gun-walking fiasco had already sparked outrage in Mexico and made senior officials wary. As one former DOJ official put it, things just came under a different level of scrutiny after Fast and Furious. At that point, everybody was in self-preservation mode. Mexico's politics shifted under the case. The Calderón administration wound down while Enrique Peña Nieto's team prepared to take office. Cooperation priorities changed. The new Attorney General, Jesus Murillo Caram, pushed to undercut prior corruption prosecutions, which complicated joint files built with U.S. partners. Cases that once moved with shared purpose now met delays, revisions, and cold shoulders in meetings that used to end with action items. Counterpressure built against the witness. Mexican authorities probed López Nájera's statements, testing details and inserting dates that other witnesses later used to create alibis. Media coverage, fed by leaks, framed him as a paid tool of the previous government. An investigative outlet revealed his identity, and U.S. officials believed that disclosure originated inside the Mexican Attorney General's office. The effect was immediate. Defendants tied to Operation Cleanup walked free as charges fell apart. Inside the U.S. team, belief and prosecutability split. Agents who worked the network still saw the pattern. The logistics matched how protection and influence tend to move. But the legal side forecast a case that could miss in court and poison future cooperation. Exposing a near-presidential circle with thin tapes risked a public rupture, a diplomatic protest, and a chill on broader cartel operations where progress was steady and quantifiable. SARC did the math. They tightened approvals, trimmed travel, and signaled that without stronger corroboration, the window would close. By late 2011 into 2012, Operation Polanco wound down. Related charges were dropped or sat on a shelf, waiting for evidence that never arrived. The informant's gambit had mapped how influence might flow. The system, reading the political barometer and the legal thresholds, picked stability over a courtroom fight that could boomerang.